Well, my name is Amy Rose, and I've been a barbershopper for about, 25 or 30 years now. Lifelong singer, and now I love coaching performance and working with groups and singing in my own quartets and chorus.
My name is Donny Rose. I am a retired high school and collegiate music teacher. I have been doing barbershop for 35, 40 years, and I do it because I love it. It's just really, really fun to share this kind of a cappella music, especially with young people.
What role has singing played in your lives?
Oh gosh, what role hasn't it played?
Well, singing brought us together.
Yeah, that's how we met.
We met each other through singing, and I don't know, I think like a lot of people, we both, I grew up loving to sing. I was a primarily instrumentalist, but Amy laughs because I say this all the time. In the 70s and 80s, I would hear rock bands, but they had the a cappella break.
Right.
So Queen, Kansas.
Judy Blue Eyes.
Yeah, all that stuff, Crosby, Stills, all those little a cappella moments were like, there's something about the a cappella moment that I find compelling. I wonder if there was ever like an a cappella just kind of singing. And that wasn't really...
Probably not.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. And this is, of course, before pentatonics and a real a cappella resurgence. So, yeah, I just always loved playing music and singing, and I thought it was... My singing helped my instrumental work, and my instrumental work helped me sing. It was fun.
And I grew up singing along to the radio in the car to what my parents would play. So it was like the Beatles and all of those wonderful, like, I guess, oldies then, but always harmony in there. So yeah, Crosby, Stills, and Nash and the Beatles and groups like that always had harmony. Those were always my favorite songs. And so I'd always kind of pick a different part and sing the different things.
And I do remember, singing-wise, that the very first time I watched the movie version of the music,
yes,
I thought, like, what is happening with this barbershop ice cream thing? And I thought it was really cool. And like it'd be like, a ukulele band, I'll never see that again. Oh, a accordion, a bagpipe, I'll never have this opportunity. It's just too niche. And then discovering later that there's this whole organization of people that love to sing a cappella was really fun. So, I don't know, lots of influences, like I suppose all of us.
So,
what do you think is the value of singing for young people?
Oh my gosh, it goes so far beyond musicianship and loving music. It gives you access to learning how to be a person and learning how to relate to each other, learning how to be part of a group and work towards a goal. And just, it feeds everything.
Yeah.
It feeds all of those human qualities. And I truly think that singing in a group, no matter the size, really can just make you a more fully empathetic and well-rounded person.
So the value of singing for young people is such a big part of my life, because as a person involved in sports and music, so often young people are bench warmers. They sit and they wait for their turn, or they never get to play, and there are no bench warmers in music. Everybody brings what they have, what they add, and it's all kind of unique and special. And what I love about singing especially is it requires us to be incredibly vulnerable. I mean, when I would work with band kids, if it was a wrong note, they'd look at their flute and say, what's wrong? But with choir kids, it's their voice, and there's really nothing more personal. My choir kids would tell these stories about, I remember a moment in 4th grade when somebody made fun of my voice and I never sang for the next 4 years. And they're crying, and it's such a personal thing. So young people learning to be vulnerable with other people brings out their humanity and just makes them more well-rounded, beautiful givers in the world, and so much more empathetic energy, like you were talking about. But it's also like, it's this real life microcosm of, this is how our community could be if we loved each other and listened to each other and sang in harmony with each other, right? It's just this great metaphor for life. One of the things that drew both Amy and I to this festival is that the idea of youth festivals anymore is elite, all-state, auditioned, you must be a private voice student, and that's cool, and I love those. But this is about anybody, y'all come, we take your voice however it is. That's one of the things that drew me to this festival. I love it because A, it's free, B, it feeds young people and it gives them shirts and stuff like that, so they're suddenly part of something bigger. And it's also in a moment where it's on a Saturday and it's an easy time that everybody can join. So often we do these at times when it's such a huge commitment of time that choir directors and kids say, I don't really have 3 days to give for this vocal intensive thing for $1,000 in New York City. This is just a one day, have this great experience, go home, and then share it with your choir kids. So that's one of the things that drew me personally.
Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite things about this festival in particular is that it's a mix of high school and college age kids. So you have the kind of that whole spectrum of school, and so the older kids can really identify with the high school kids because they were just there and they know, how that feels. The high school kids have them to look up to and can say, oh, there's more singing to be done. And that's the thing that we love about barbershop singing, is that it is truly lifelong. So when you get out of college and your awesome, fun experience with your college group, you can now find that in the next group, and it doesn't have to end.
One of the things I'm hoping the students take away from this festival is that, for starters, anybody can sing. And you may have a low voice as a person who identifies as a woman, and a lot of times in choirs, that's like, oh, that's unfortunate. But in our style of a cappella, that's a freaking win. Yeah. If you can sing low as a person who identifies as a woman, and as a person who identifies as a man, you can sing freakishly high, and your voice is incredibly welcome too. And we just want to welcome everybody, so the kids that leave this festival realize that all of these voice types are welcome and frankly needed in our style. The other thing I hope they take away is just techniques that we use in this style of a cappella that apply directly to classical music, to jazz. When I taught with my high school kids and they sang a little bit of barbershop, the listening they had to do, the way they had to slot in the notes, and then when we sang Schubert's Mass in D, bam! It really helped those tenors hear those fifths like a couple cents higher, and how the altos could kind of slot in and bring more of their voice rather than feeling like their part was not important. All the parts are suddenly important rather than just my soprano one buddies having all the glory. So that's, there's so many things to take away. Probably my favorite takeaway from a festival like this is the visual element that I think Amy can talk about.
One of the things I hope that kids take away from today is the sense that performing is joyful. And while in a lot of music programs, choirs can be kind of serious and it can be kind of formal. And what we want to do at this festival is help them see that no matter what you're singing or in what style you're singing, you can infuse that with joy. You can be brave. You can make mistakes boldly because we're making music together. And sometimes you have to be a little messy and let it kind of come together instead of worrying about getting every note perfect and every single tiny thing from the first downbeat. Come in, we're going to create this community, we're going to create music together and have a joyful, happy experience. And it's not going to be perfect. And that's not the goal. The goal is to have an experience together and to hopefully share an experience with the audience. One of the first times we worked with younger singers together was the formation of a chorus called Northwest Vocal Project. And that gave us the opportunity to not just think about adult learners, but bring students that are high school to college age and just kind of play in that playground all together. So my role in that was coaching performance, doing some choreography, and then it was such a treat always to work with Donny, and he was their musical director. So we've been able to collaborate in that way quite a few times, both with younger choruses and with adult choruses.
I've had the great honor of giving youth clinics all over North America, both as a longtime music educator and as a person who worked for the Barbershop Harmony Society, and just traveling to music conferences, and gosh, even went to Helsinki, had a chance to work with people in Finland. And I got to tell you, working with a 1,500 kids in Boise, Idaho, and working with 30 kids today here in Lake Sammamish High School in Bellevue, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that there's this experience for young people to get excited about their voices. You know, the hardest part about vocal music is just having people believe. And once they start to believe in their voice, magic happens. You know, I love, because I'm kind of a technical music person, and Amy's kind of a visual extrovert, like, I'm going to tell the world this story. We play off each other really nicely, and obviously because sometimes hearing it from a woman with a different tone and hearing it from a man with a different tone, it just kind of connects different people in different ways. And so when we do these traveling clinics all over, it's just about unlocking the kid that's kind of mopey or something like that. How do we help that kid get out of that? Well, we can do it by having some success musically and then having some success visually. And then at the very end, the most critical piece is when they're feeling vulnerable and they're giving their voice, singing for their peers, singing for others, and people losing their mind, like, that was amazing. That flip for those young people, whether it's in Finland or in Bellevue, Washington, it doesn't really matter, because that joy they then take and they can share it with others. And that's what we're really all about, right? We're just trying to change the world. It's a better world through singing, right? That's the whole idea. And that's why we do these clinics, because it just brings us, I'm excited talking about it right now. It's fun.
The great benefit of supporting events like this is being a part of a young person's formative musical life. You won't know the result, but you will know that you are changing someone's viewpoint. You're changing someone's life. You don't know if it's because you're connecting them with other students from other schools, or if it's because you're exposing them to a different way of thinking about music. Every person who contributes to an event like this is truly impacting lives. And events like this, I can say as a former choir kid myself, you know, these are life-changing events. You'll never know the results, you'll never really know the outcome, but it's happening.
Yeah, if I could talk to the people who might be on the fence or wondering if they should help or sponsor or help groups like this, my professional life now is I'm a fundraiser. I travel the world supporting choral singing. And I get excited about it because if you were to think about a moment in time when we need community more than any other time, right now we have young people like looking at their phones. We're coming through COVID. It's just kind of this weird moment in our history worldwide. We need community. We need something that brings us together where we can be vulnerable and like love each other. And it might sound kind of cheesy, but we believe it. You know, we believe in the power of music, and sponsors that help make something like this happen that's where it's all at. They make such a difference because helping with some food, helping volunteering, helping buy music, helping those little things. We don't expect these people to be music educators. We expect these people to be beautiful humans whose lives are enriched and now have this pathway for the rest of their life, rather than saying, oh, well, singing is only for the elite. No, 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 no. The operas that we watch now used to be audience sing-alongs. So if you attended Italian in Algiers or Mozart's Così fan tutti, everyone would sing along with their favorite songs from the audience. But now it's like, we sit and we clap politely at the end and we shut up because only the professional sings. No, singing is for everybody. And that's what we hope sponsors and people on the outside realize. This isn't about changing lives because we're making music educators. This is about changing lives because we grow people's humanity and we connect them to other people. And then they have this beautiful thing that they can share for their lifetime. So please consider helping us, because this totally takes a village. And then finally, for the music educators out there, as a music educator myself, I know it's hard to prioritize, well, what are the events I should do and what is the music I should sing? And I honor that. I know it's really busy and it's hard to get kids, and some of us are a little bit afraid of a cappella music, 2-part, 3-part, but goodness gracious, 4-part music can be a little bit daunting. One of the things that we hope you know about the barbershop world is that we honor your schedule. And so instead of just giving you sheet music and say, figure it out, we give you sheet music with lots of instructions on the inside page and the backstage page. Plus, we give you learning materials on how to teach that music, and we give you part predominant tracks that are not MIDI generated. There's a human voice singing in the style of barbershop, so you can hear how the chords line up. So my favorite is watching kids put an earbud in, they only hear their part, they're comfortable with the music, they put all 4 parts, they're comfortable, and then the most critical moment, music teachers, you pull out this earbud, and now they hold their part against those other 3 parts. What a tool! And you're not sitting there at the piano plunk, 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 plunking with your best kids helping while everybody else kind of looks around. Everybody has a tool, and those kids can have this experience. The last thing I'd like music educators to know is the power of a cell phone, because these babies can download what are called tag apps, T-A-G, and tags are the ending of our songs. It's basically like a drum circle or a jam session in jazz where we learn a 2 or 3 or 4 measure excerpt. It's the end, and kids can have this great chord experience without learning a whole song, and they can just learn it by looking at their phone. And I've traveled to ACDA events, NAFME events, I've traveled all over the world. Kids love these little moments called tags. So if you Google and go to YouTube online, you'll see millions of examples of these tags. And it's a great way to either warm up with your kids, which I use with my high school all the time, and even college kids love this. Or you can use it at the end as a sponge activity like, well, we're kind of done. I need something to fill these last 5 minutes. But barbershop is totally doable by high school. And Amy and I have done youth camps with junior high. It's harder with junior high, but if you've got kids that can hold parts, you can do it. And remember, as men and women, any gender of kid can sing our style of music. Please don't think, well, barbershop is for the guys and only the girls sing something else, right? We can all sing this style of music, whether it's mixed or whether it's just women, just men. It works in all the styles. So we hope you'll get excited about sharing this with your kids because it's great music for all kids.
One of the great things about singing in the barbershop style in particular is that it's incredibly participatory. So unlike chamber music or more classical styles or even contemporary a cappella, all of those things are kind of about presenting the audience with something. The wonderful thing about singing barbershop is you can have a wonderful singing experience together, and you can grab someone and teach them a few notes of a song and everyone's singing together. So not only do weekends like this really grow people as musicians, but we're introducing them to a style that's friendly, approachable, and something that they can sing all of their lives.